Hey guys, it's Samuel Larsen here, and I wanted to make a quick summary video of the basics of abandoned cart emails for e-commerce stores. Now, this is more like a quick summary video on how to set up abandoned carts and how to get the sequence right, because this has been really extensively tested. Now, as you know, if you're into e-commerce at all, abandoned carts are a massive issue, and it's one of those issues that are actually one of the easiest things to solve and can be a surprisingly massive impact to your sales. Now, there's a couple of things here that have been extensively tested, and since almost every e-commerce store, well, the serious ones, all of them, have an abandoned cart email sequence, then it's actually easy to know in general what works and what doesn't. However, many, especially smaller merchants, they don't spend all that much time and effort to do this right. So mainly the problem is that it's more like very ad hoc, and it's kind of like done randomly. So I feel like it should be like this way, and this is the right email sequence, time, etc. So there's not that like hardcore science behind it, but we're about to change it right now. So I spend quite a bit of time and effort when I set up new shops to get this right, because it's really one of the most important things, because it's really about, it's part of like getting people to sell. So in general, I think for most store owners, the problem is that this is not a very visual thing. It's one of those invisible things that runs in the background that you can't really touch very well. And since most people, they actually don't even track their email conversions, then they have no idea whether they are actually doing well with email or whether they're not. So it's kind of like they're in the dark when it comes to everything. However, if you're one of those merchants that likes making sales, then this is definitely for you. And this is one of those easy wins that you can get handled. So why should you really care? Well, I don't remember the source here, but I actually went ahead and grabbed this picture from my files. So if only 42% of the purchases happen in the first hour, then what goes on after that? And how important is it really to get these people back and to get them to buy? So that means that if we are not doing a good job here in the first half, our sales are going to suffer a lot because we don't get people to come back to us. Now, let's look at this second image here. So this is revenue generated by email and the transaction rate. So on the left, we can see that shopping cart abandoners are our best list by far. It's not even close. It's massively better than any other list we have. And on average, 20% will lead to transactions. So that could, in this case, be a whopping revenue generated by just an email of $18. So think of that, like just sending one email automatically could bring you similar results. Maybe not this great, but something like this. I think this might be a couple years old, so that might skew the number a little bit higher than it should be. But anyway, you get the point. So this is a really powerful reason to get on board and to optimize your campaigns and to start tracking them as well. Now, first of all, if you are running on Shopify, as probably most of you are, you get to have this persistent cart app, or at least some sort of an app that will remember your user's cart, sometimes even if they're cross-device browsing, etc. So this is nice because obviously a multi-touch point and like all kinds of different devices are getting more popular as these days, and it's very common for people to browse on mobile, buy on desktop, etc. So this is also a key that when customers come back to this site, whether it's not through a shopping link in the email or whether it's actually manually coming back, that their cart is still there, so they don't have to go and like find those same products again. And this goes well with the abandoned cart emails. But let's jump into the actual email sequence. Now, the first and the most important rule that I have is that there's no shame in being aggressive. So we've looked at it a lot, and statistically speaking, like the sellers who are a little bit overly pushy, they perform a lot better than those email campaigns that aren't pushy enough. So if you have a choice between being too aggressive or not being aggressive enough, be too aggressive. So always edge on the side of being a bit too aggressive rather than being too timid. Now, the typical email sequence that I have is 1 week and consists of 7 emails. But 4 is really a good minimum, because we start seeing these diminishing returns on abandoned cart emails pretty quickly. So that's why I always at least set up 4. So in an ideal world, preferably 1 email sent per day for a certain period of days. Now the reason behind this is that you want to keep yourself fresh in the user's mind and constantly remind them that they still have the cart here. It's available, it's right here, just click, you can do this purchase. But you don't necessarily want to have 7 emails there every time they open their inbox. There's this general human trait that we run towards that which is chasing us, or which is going away, and we run away from that which is really chasing us. So if there's like 3 emails once you open your inbox every couple of days, like that might be off-putting to a lot of people. But at the same time, if there's no emails, there's no trigger for a behavior that we want to encourage. So it's a bit of a balance of frequency, and we need to get that right. Now, one good assumption is that most people probably check their emails at least once a day. So that has been proven to be a good frequency. Now, for the actual emails, there's so many reasons that people abandon their cart. Some people just do it so they can come back with their desktops and check out with that. Some people might do it to see if there's any discounts coming. Another people might be just browsing with multiple tabs open and they just simply forget everything. So we need to be a little bit mindful of these main reasons to have a really effective email campaign. But let's take a look at this picture. This is a statistic from now 3 years ago, 2014. And the big reason for cart abandonment back then, and probably still now, is simply that people are not ready to purchase. So either they are saving their cart for later, and they are doing this on purpose, or they are simply comparing. So these are massively common. And once we know that these are the common cases, then we can kind of take this into account with our email marketing. So there's a million reasons for this. And people abandon their emails for all kinds of reasons. What we aim to have is an email that basically is an average of all those reasons. So whatever the reasons they have, that the first few emails, they would suit that reason. Because we're essentially being empathetic to their cause and taking that into account. We're speaking the customer's language, etc. So one thing also is that what we want to do is we want to assume positive things. So in our emails, we want to assume that they do have a motivation to purchase. So it's not going to be a very sales heavy email. It's not going to be a massive copywriting there and like these kind of things. Because people have already shown so much intent. So in your first emails, don't sound defeated. Rather assume that the abandonment was more like a mistake. Or there was a good reason for that. Like maybe they didn't have their credit card in hand, or they wanted to save their card, that kind of stuff. So the first email would be more like a friendly inquiry. So for example, we have reserved your card for you, like your card is still here, that kind of thing. So make sure that the styling and the tone matches the site. So it's not this default Shopify email that has a blue button if your buttons are all red, etc. So because you want to have this connection there. But remember, it's a friendly inquiry. I usually like to use the name there. So let's say it's Jack or something. So Jack is sending the email as a store owner, and that tends to work well. So a personal email, talking human to human, and making it look like it wasn't an automatic email. Now, once it's human to human, it's styled correctly, then what's going to really make this email good is I would prefer it to be just a reminder at first. So don't go and like discount it instantly, because as we saw from these pictures, is that people are abandoning their carts for many reasons. So if you're attacking them with discounts first, you might be losing money compared to non-discounted emails. And also, you're saving those discounts for later. So I don't have these email sequence where you first go 10%, then 15%, then 20%, etc. Just save your discounts for the third email. And if they're going to buy anyway, don't be so desperate that you would like beg for sales and suddenly give them all in the world, like free shipping, discounts, etc. Now, the second email in this sequence, and every email you send is actually less important than the previous one. And the conversion rates keep going down. The second email is more like, hey, it's still there type of email. So we haven't forgot you and we're still friends type of thing. Nothing all that complicated. Along the same lines is just really good. Short, punchy, to the point, featuring the images of the product, featuring the product name, pricing, have a button to the cart, that kind of stuff. Very similar. Now, the third email is the email where I usually put on the discount. And there's several reasons for this. And let me expand this, because these discounts are, I think I would consider them to be an overused tactic. Now, the big reason for this, why I put the discount on the third email, is that there's a really big drop-off that I've noticed between the third email and the subsequent emails. And if you don't offer a discount here, you're basically hammering the same nail without it working. And this is where it starts to be a little bit of a desperation time. So basically, this is the email where people are either in or they're out. And the second reason for this is that you've already given them a couple of opportunities to buy before the discount, and they haven't taken the bait. So if you already got rejected twice, might as well give them a little bit of something. Like something to make them feel like they're winning with the deal. And some people just cannot turn down a discount. So that's always a good thing. Now you are of course hurting your margins, so really consider what kind of discount makes sense. Preferably test this a little bit and see what works for you. Now, let's say a user's typical order is like $100. Then in that case, you want to use a percentage to make it look bigger. If it's over $100, then just use the actual dollars when you're discounting, because it's more like tangible, and sometimes people understand dollars bigger or better. But if it's a really tiny purchase, you might not want to offer them a $2 discount. So that's where percentage works better. All right, so for small orders, use percentage. For big orders, use dollars. Then after the third email, really, the sequence actually becomes less important. Like I said, the drop-offs are pretty heavy. And after the third email, you want to have some kind of time limit in the third email with the discount. So it's not just like come back anytime. A little bit of urgency, because this also provides you an opportunity to send more emails that have a little bit of context. So you could say like your email or your discount is expiring, that kind of thing. And this actually makes the fourth email relevant and also helpful. So you're not just spamming them, you're also helping them by reminding that there's this great opportunity. All right, so that's a little bit of a sense of loss aspect. The discount won't be there forever, and that's obviously very important, worthy of a fourth email. Now, really the rest of the sequence, the subsequent emails, they're just reminders of this discount, and they're more like don't lose out type of emails. So you would have basically emails containing time limits, etc. Still reminding them to their offer in a friendly way. Is there anything we can help? Any unanswered questions, etc. This kind of thing. Now, if you're tracking this, you can expect the open rate to go down rapidly as you're sending more emails, and the success rate, of course, also going down more with every email rejected. Now, the most important thing here really is that the first 3 emails are on point. So keep that in mind, and also in general, make these emails pretty short, because you really can't personalize them that much. You don't know all that much about the person. So if you're trying to create this like a perfect email that is really long and complicated, that's likely going to backfire. And be direct, cut to the point right away, and keep it pretty straightforward. And now overall, there's no magic to it, but the important thing is to do it. So don't just have a single email configured in your CMS or whatever platform your site is running. So in Shopify, you would have this like single email, which is like, in my opinion, pretty pathetic. But most importantly, keep this, I would say like Wolf of Wall Street type of mentality, and have this like either buy or die sequence. So they either buy or they unsubscribe type of thing. And be okay with that. This means that you're persistent, and you are either going to get that unsubscription or you are going to get the order. But don't be too vanilla in that sense, be too timid. But on the other side as well, like don't be like, what the heck, you still didn't buy. Not aggressive either, because that's also going to turn customers into enemies. All right, I guess thank you for watching. Hope that helped. Now go out there, fix this stuff, send some emails, and you're going to see a lot of cash come in pretty quickly. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more e-commerce related videos, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers.